The good thing is I have just very limited time because I talk a lot. Ida points that out every so often. She would say, no talk, I'm busy, I'm working. And she's actually right about that. When I was sitting here and listened to Declan, my head was all over the place, and then all of a sudden I thought, oh, this is really good. And I actually enjoyed, and I got so many inspiration, ideas, and questions that I actually threw out what I wanted to say for the start and changed that a bit. I start with a poem. No, it's not a poem, it's poetry. It's from a writer called Rainer Maria Rilke, and it's very short. Be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart. Try to love the questions themselves. Like locked rooms and like books that are now written in a very foreign tongue. Do not now seek the answer which cannot be given you because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live along some distant day into the answer. So, yeah, it's heavy, isn't it? And beautiful. And it's Rainer Maria Rilke. And yeah, if you wait until you have a perfect condition and situation, you wait a very long time. And I have a friend who he likes to be sarcastic. He said, this is not a holiday planet. It's not supposed to be easy. And so before I now space out, I go back to Cork. And yeah, I just give short comments to the photos behind me. This is Yvonne Condon. Can you actually hear me? It's a bit funny with the mic. Yvonne Condon is in the last row here. Yvonne, can you wave? She can't hear me, but she can see me. So this was, it was just more or less a spread out of 636 of her paintings after office hours in the CIT. We needed a big space. And Derek Foote made a beautiful movie of that event. How do I go to the next? Just press. Which to go to the next? That's a bit longer ago. This was a project together with Mahamaha, where people asked me, can we make a boat? And I said, we can, we have Mahamaha. So it's always, there's loads of resources. You have just to get the connections, you have to meet people, you have to talk people. And so we made a boat, and the artists did decorate it in the way of telling a bit the story, how it was built, who was involved. Yeah, to go a little bit back, not just to the photos, GASP means Glasheen Art Studio Program originally, but it doesn't mean anything. It's just we have to name us somehow that people can find us. So I got asked a few times, where are you based? And I thought, we are based in Cork. Yeah, but where in Cork? And I said, well, we are a little bit moving around. So we have 2 days where we work in the CIT alongside the students. We have 1 day where we work some of our artists in the Crawford as artists in residence. And so during the slideshow, I will introduce you to the places you might find us in Cork. This is Barrack Street, and Yvonne set up an easel in Barrack Street outside Alchemy Cafe and painted speed portraits. So it takes about 10 minutes. And yeah. Ida Nishulevan, it was a project we got invited from Sirius Art Center. And she did postcards with coffee and pen. There's Ida. It was on our trip to Madrid, where the artists responded to each other's work. So Jorge picked up a white painted guitar and painted on it, and Ida, inspired by this, painted the guitar on paper. This is Katie. Katie is traveling a lot, so she's not here today. we had an exhibition in the Stern View Gallery in Nash 19, and it was titled GASP, Cork-based artists exhibition, joint exhibitions of 4 artists. That was it, and I liked that a lot. And we had a few events on weekends where people could go to the restaurant, go to the gallery, and could meet the artist. And the artists, they did what they could do best, doing art. Because some of our artists have very limited spoken skills or communication skills. If you spend loads of time, you understand well, but if you meet maybe Katie the first time, it's maybe hard to understand her, but she paints beautiful, and her theme is love. So most of her paintings are all about love, and that's a little nephew who she didn't know that he will actually arrive on that day from the United States. Yeah. Do not touch the art. Even if you would write, do touch this art, people would probably not feel comfortable to do it. It's David's palette, actually. David is in the last row. David, can you raise your arm? Yeah. And David paints beautifully with layers of colors, with loads of patience and time and skill. And this is one of his palettes. And yeah, as you can read, we got visitors. And we thought, there's an empty shop unit in Merchants Quay. Why not ask the manager of the building if we can have it for a few weeks? And we thought, okay, most people go shopping. They don't go to art galleries. That's true. Most people go shopping, even in shopping centers. But a good few people came in, looked at the exhibition, and did art themselves alongside our artists. And it was on the theme of age. We set up this exhibition, who was shown before in Serious Art Center, in collaboration with school kids from Educate Together and old artists in St. Luke's Nursing Home and our artists. Yeah. This is on the train to Dublin, doing art. So the studio can be literally wherever you have. There's John. Yes. So years ago, I thought, I would really like to have a beautiful studio with written art, inclusive art on it. But now I actually know it's much better not to have that. It's much better. There's so many possibilities in the city, and I wouldn't say it's easy. You have to permanently look for them, and you actually have to live it. You have to be in the city. If you're outside in a daycare center, you just lack a lot of opportunities. But if you use the public transport, go into local shops, go in cafes, go in restaurants where you eat, have your break, and have exhibitions, people eventually, it will change from, this is Ida who goes to daycare center, to, this is Ida the artist, or Yvonne the artist, or John. And it just worked by doing it. It wasn't in place. And the CIT, by just allowing us to use the space at the same time, it opened up doors. I wouldn't say that the artists haven't done nice art before in the daycare center, but there's another element of just doing art for artists. I mean, which artist does just art? There's a life outside art making, a social aspect. And by just being there has changed a lot. And it leads to more opportunities. So 3 hours train ride to Dublin to see an exhibition, loads of art actually got created. This is Thomas Sullivan. He isn't here today. He works in the library because the space we would have used at that day would have been the education room. Was busy with another project, so we just could use the library. So there is space in the city, and by moving around, you will meet people you would otherwise have never met. You know, if you are in your studio with your sign on it, you might get visitors, but there's a nice element of random encounters by just being there. Yeah, that made me actually happy this morning, because I was with my head all over the place, and I forgot that Rosaline was doing a little tour to a school class in the Crawford. So Rosaline, she said, I need to go over to the tour. And I said, it works. So Rosaline, she didn't leave because of the speech. She left because she had a job to do in the Crawford. So she's back for lunch. Yeah, Rosaline, that was during the exhibition initiated by Brent Pope, Beyond, in the City Hall. And she told me that she nearly enjoys as much selling art, talking to people, doing tours, than actually making the art. And I found that very interesting. So here she explains, or she talks about her three-dimensional painting of a nursing home. John? Yeah, that's John Whelan. That was in Bristol, where Bristol is a very good city for just go for a walk and look for art in the street. So maybe in the summer, but it was cold, but it was nice and very inspiring. This is Yvonne. If you don't have space, you have to kind of make space, even if it's on wheels, or if you don't have a big canvas, then just try to use something else. This is a caravan painted with blackboard paint, but in kind of a brown tone, because otherwise it looks like burnt out. And Yvonne was just stopping people passing by during Midsummer Festival and a quick portrait with chalk on the caravan. And the film team from England stopped and asked if they could do shots for LA Magazine. And they promised us to let us know if it got published. So it did get published last year, September, in Italy, in the LA Magazine, with the model inside the caravan. How many minutes? Good. This is in Alchemy in Park Street. We asked the staff if we could come with old-fashioned cameras, photograph the guests, and let our artists make portraits based on the photographs, exhibit them in the place, and then offer that people can have them for free, but they have to pick them up in places they might not have gone. Like it wasn't really dangerous place. It was more, for example, go to St. Luke's nursing home, ask for Mary Murphy, and have a cup of tea, and you get your portraits for free. So we haven't finished all the portraits to actually, there's still a few left. We have to, if you have a good idea where to pick up the portraits, let me know. John Joe? Where's John Joe? Can't see you. Oh, hi. There's John Joe. John Joe works a lot with writing and initials, and so he comes once a week and he has an outburst of creativity and does layers and layers of initials, and his work is at the moment in Wanford Ski Gallery, but just a few days, so if you want to see it, they finish this week. And here he was using a pillar in the back of the Voss building, the old tax office, who was years ago seen as not safe for tax office, but it's a very creative and lively place, since nothing wrong with tax office. There is the beautiful building. It has a rough charm of architecture, and Rosaline's idea how it could look. That's Yvonne again. That was 3 years ago. We had the idea to, every so often I got asked, could you not do some seasonal art with people, like Easter bunnies, Christmas, and so on. And I actually don't like that, because since I'm out of school, I like that there isn't any 50 slightly different Santis in the windows at home. So I like that people do their own individual work. And so we did a newspaper announcement. If you want to get your portrait done with someone you love, you have to come to the examiner office on Valentine's Day, and we will paint your portrait or make a photo and paint it later. And it got exhibited a few months later in the Crawford Art Gallery. Yeah, that's a few of the 636 paintings. You need to eat and drink when you work. So instead of going to a big canteen with 150 people, we are actually going to local restaurants. So our bills for coffee and tea have really increased since we are out there. And John Keating is in the last row there. He usually, his specialty is etchings, but he also does drawings with tea and coffee, but it's very handy because if you paint in a restaurant, they might not like if you get your equipment out with oil paint and acrylic, but if you have a coffee and you just dip your brush in it, most shop owners, restaurant owners would be okay with that. And Noemi next to her, to John, she used to work there. She's now back in France. She's an artist as well, so by going there, having food, having drinks, we just talked about, oh, this is John, that's his art, and she said, oh, I do art too, and we realized it looks really nice together. Hers very spooky, very kind of dark, and John's more kind of funny and nice and kind of cute, but in combination it looked really very beautiful. So we had a joint exhibition by just going having coffee and some food. Yeah, that was during the in the Crawford Art Gallery during the seminar of our art coffee project. That would be another long talk about that. It's always good to have a role, you know. If you introduce yourself and say, okay, I'm Yvonne and I go to a daycare center, or you say, I'm Yvonne, I'm the artist. We define ourselves more about what we do than the place we go. You might say, okay, I'm from Cork, but you wouldn't introduce yourself, my name is Bill and I'm unemployed, or my name is, and I'm on social welfare, or things like that. So Yvonne has this skill of being super fast, full of confidence in her art. There's no doubt, it just happens. So in this event, she walked around and documented, not with a camera, with a pen and paper. This is during the project Generations in the series. And Kit Prendergast, she said, I can't see. So we had to look a bit around to find something that she could see. So this is a 10 times magnifier with light. And yeah, all of a sudden she was able to do art. But her beautiful art was the way she talked about things. So she had a piece, a photograph of herself with quotes she wrote herself, and also a sound piece where she just talked. For example, that why should you look at things you don't have? My eyesight is very poor, but I'm gracious for what I have. I do not look at what I don't have. Things like that. So, and that was a workshop during the exhibition in the series. Art Coffee project in Echo Coffee. Ida again. And so the idea was, we are making postcards. It's just next to the post office, and people can have a stamp. They make a card, they send it to someone in the world. So we had national and international stamps. And if we get an answer, we will exhibit the answer in the web workshop in Winthrop Street. I think we had that with Louise already. That was during the visit of the Barchetta, Sombrero and AIM in Cork with Mick O'Shea and Berlin on the Green Chamber. She had a very, very clear idea before she even came to Cork what she wants to do. So she gave us a whole list of material, a buggy, keyboards, a doll or a few dolls, tape. So she knew exactly what she wants to do, and she did it. She did a mobile music machine she could perform in the streets. And this is Rosaline. Try to photograph it in a way that it reflects what she actually did. We asked the manager of the Union Grind coffee place if Rosaline could have the space for an exhibition. So first he was like, maybe, and what do you want to do? So Rosaline went there and did paint the inside and the outside of the place at the same time in one paintings, and he was totally convinced. So she went over a couple of weeks to that restaurant to make the art who was exhibited in that place. Yeah, and the inside, outside, that was also very interesting to hear about what is actually inside, outside. And if you have artwork in a gallery, you're not an outsider anymore. If you have the paintings outside, I don't know, you could still be in. I stop.